Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bikinis After Babies. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, I am one of your hosts, Mandy Rashawn, here with your other lovely blonde host, Jillian Hughes.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited about today's episode. If you are tuning in on YouTube, you will see our beautiful guest with us today. And I would like to welcome April Conley, IFBB Bikini Pro. She is a posing coach, a wife, and a mother of four. She has been competing for 3 years and earned her IFBB Pro card at North Americans in 2022. April developed a passion for fitness and found her way into competing after facing a tragic experience in her life that caused her to evaluate her habits and goals. April has been crushing it since she turned pro with numerous Masters Pro wins under her belt, and her most recent victory, first place at the Klash Series Southern USA Championships in May. I'm so excited to hear more about her incredible story. Welcome to Bikinis After Babies, April Conley.
Hey,
Thank you
welcome.
so
Hi.
much for having me.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
joining
joining
us
us.
today. I'm so excited to chat with you. And we kind of always like to start every episode by learning a little bit about how you got started in your fitness journey.
Well, I really got started when I was a teenager I did cheerleading. I tried basketball. I wasn't really good at that. I just wanted to do something. And so, I didn't start getting into weight lifting until I was in my mid 20s. And it, really accelerated later in my late 20s after I'd gone through a divorce. And I just wanted to get strong. I got tired of feeling like I needed to be small. And, uh, you know, we get inundated with you need to be small, you don't need to take up a lot of space. And I had just gotten really frustrated with that. And I just wanted to be strong. So I felt like I could protect myself, protect my kids. And I started lifting weights and it was history after that.
So you've got four kiddos actually, and you mentioned in our little
Yeah.
chit chat beforehand about diapers for 20 years. So what are the ages of all of your children?
So my oldest son is 23. I only have one daughter and she is 19. My middle son is 14 and my youngest son is 6.
Oh, wow. That's so much fun though, all the different ages and you get to
Yeah,
experience kind of like, some of that school age and the innocence and all of that still. That's always the hardest thing when the kids get older. It's kind of like, oh, I miss all
I
that stuff.
yeah.
know, I know. It's
That's,
Yeah.
sad when they become teenagers and they know everything and you can't tell them anything.
I'm going
Yeah.
through that right now with my 14-year-old who will be, and he's a boy, and he'll be 15 in August. And I love it. He goes, we have those roller coaster moments, but you have a 6-year old, and I'm like, oh, it just like keeps you young at heart because you get like the teenage, they know everything, but then you got the 6-year old that you can cuddle up with. I'm like, I need that.
Oh yes, he's he's a snuggler. He is a
Um,
mama's boy. If I leave I'm like I had to set him up. Okay, mommy's going to be upstairs. I'm going to be talking, so you just stay downstairs. My husband's working from home today, so he's fine downstairs. But I'm like, you've got to stay downstairs and
Yeah.
let mommy talk, okay? And he's like, but why?
Yeah.
So he'll follow me like this room that I use upstairs, I'll use for posing clients. And I also have my makeup up here and I have like some cardio machine. It's just like a big open space. And if I'm coming up here to do my makeup, he's crawling underneath my chair. Like he is
Yeah.
legit under my chair. He's got to be under me
Oh,
all the time.
I
And
love that.
sometimes it's a little frustrating, but for the most part, I'm like, so
It's one of those
sweet.
things like as soon as you travel, like I was away at a show last weekend and I can't wait to just have some space. And then I'm in the hotel room by myself. I'm like, where is everybody? Like I was uncomfortable to just be alone and not like have somebody that wanted to tell me a story that I didn't ask to hear or, just somebody need a sandwich or anything, I was like, this is very strange, when you get used to just doing it for
Even,
so long.
yeah, you just don't know what to do with yourself. You're like, do I
Yeah.
just sit here? What do I do?
Yeah. So wow, so four pregnancies, like pretty spread apart too. So, did you have any like issues getting back into shape after you had babies, or did your body bounce back pretty quickly?
When I was younger, it bounced back super quickly. It
Yeah.
was probably the hardest time I had was with my 6-year-old because I was in my 30s when I had him,
Yeah.
early 30s when I had him. So his bouncing back after him was a little more difficult. And a lot of it also had to do with my late husband, who's his father. He was all about going out to eat and drinking and living that kind of lifestyle. And I went to the gym regularly, but he was not okay with me going to the gym if he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so I would have to let's go to the gym. Let's go work out. And, he liked to work out Monday. He was one of those that the beginning of the week he was good to go, and then after that he was done. He wanted to go out to eat and drink and relax. So
Yeah. And you had mentioned that competing was something that had sparked your interest, but there wasn't a lot of support there. So what was that
right.
like when you first saw a competition and thought it was something that you would like to do?
So the very first competition I watched, bikini hadn't turned into what it is today. It was still, there wasn't, really any muscle. It was just fit girls getting on stage, and I wasn't interested in it. And then I saw, in 2019, I watched Issa win the Olympia, and her frame and her musculature and her poise and her posing. I was like, okay, I want to do that. I want to do that so much. And so that was when I really started like researching other competitors and seeing what it was like. I started following all kinds of girls on YouTube and Instagram and trying to see what their experience was like to kind of give myself a heads up on, okay, can I do this? Would this be something I like diet wise, activity wise? Could I even fit that into my schedule? Or, mentally take on that load, because it is a huge mental load to take on a prep. And I followed them and approached my late husband with the idea of doing competitions, and he was completely supportive of that until it came to the bikinis. So he was very protective and very I say protective. He was more possessive. He didn't want any other people seeing me that unclothed, especially not
Yeah.
on stage. So he got very uncomfortable with it. So it was like, it's cool. You can prep and you can do all this stuff. But when it came to actually the point of wanting to get on stage, he's like, you're going to have to get a bikini that completely covers everything. And I'm like, oh, I'll be the only one up there with a full cut bikini bottom.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're not the only one. Like, I'm sure that there are other women who are maybe in a similar situation, either, in that kind of a relationship where their spouse doesn't want to understand that it's so not seen as something sexual and provocative. It's athletic and it's beautiful, or even just like cultural. So I think that for some people listening and being able to, see how that journey evolved for you, it's probably encouraging for people to hear, because I have heard that. I have had people say, my husband's not comfortable, or, my members of my church won't understand, and I think
Yeah.
bikini's
Right.
becoming more mainstream that people understand.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you go to the pool, people are in swimsuits too, right? So yeah. And then, I was going to get into this a little bit later, but we're already on the topic, but talking a little bit about sort of how that relationship evolved into, his eventual passing and what happened there.
So when we first met and we were first dating, he was the kind of person he was actually prepping to do a bodybuilding show, which
Oh,
he never
wow.
actually accomplished that because he got too busy, I guess, dating me. I don't think he really had the mental fortitude to be able to put himself all the way through a prep, because how lean you have to get and how draining it is on your energy and being able to think clearly. I don't think he was personally capable of doing that. So he was actually in a bodybuilding prep when we first started dating. And then he wouldn't drink. And then it started to turn into, well, I'm not going to do a bodybuilding show anymore, so we can do pizza and beer on the weekend. So it became pizza and beer on the weekends. And he went through several career changes while we were together. In the last career he was in, either stressed him out a lot to the point where he wanted to drink, or it gave him the financial freedom to sit around and drink if he wanted to. I'm not exactly sure how that was going on through his head, but it turned into him drinking every night. And so he was, when someone drinks all the time, they don't realize they're like, oh, I can drink a lot. It doesn't affect me. I'm not drunk. They're just used to how it feels.
Yeah.
So when you become desensitized to how that feels, you think you're totally, you know, aware of all of everything you're doing and your reaction time's the same, but it's not. Even if you don't feel drunk, you still are drunk. And so he had been drinking all day, and he's like, and it was slow sipping on beer for that particular day. He normally would drink liquor at night, but that day he had been sipping on beer all day long. And he was in a great mood, and he's like, I'm going to go to the gas station, and I just want to get another 6-pack of beer. I'm not ready to call it a night yet. And he kissed me, told me he loved me, and he left and never came back home.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
It, it
Worst
was,
phone call you can
it,
get.
I actually didn't get a phone call. We had each other's locations on our phones, and he took too long. The gas station was literally 2 minutes up the road, and he'd
Right.
been gone for 20 minutes. So I'm like, well, I mean, even if you stopped to chat with somebody, it wouldn't have taken that long. So I looked at his location, and it was a spot that was not on the path between our house and the gas station.
Yeah.
So I actually got my neighbor. He had taken the only car that was available to use because the other one was hooked up to some equipment. So I called my neighbor, and I'm like, something's wrong. Will you come take me? I've got to go see his name was James. I've got to go see where James is because he's not where he should be, and he's not answering his phone. And so
Yeah.
we drove up on his accident, and that's how I found out.
Oh my God.
That's very tragic to experience. There's no way you can prepare, and you like
No.
you said, you did not really think that he was so inebriated that he shouldn't be driving. So yeah,
Right.
that's
He was acting completely sober, and so it
yeah,
didn't even, and the drive was so close. But that's what they say, if you're going to get into an accident, it's usually where
super
you're
close
the
to your
most
house.
familiar and feel the most comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had the vehicle he was driving was loud and a little fast. He was a big car guy. It was loud and it was a little fast. Not super fast. It was a little fast. And so he caught the attention of a sheriff. And I think he got in the idea in his head that he's like, if I get pulled over, I will probably get a DUI. So let me see if I can get away. And he just lost control of the car.
That's so
That's
tragic. I'm so sorry.
Well, thank you.
And
Yeah.
so when that happened, and now, you're dealing with a loss that you weren't prepared for, how did you begin to sort of like patch things together and move forward with your life?
I have an amazing family. My support system they didn't leave my side, even though, and at that moment, I just wanted to sit by myself. Like, I didn't want to have to put forth any mental energy into talking. I didn't want anyone asking me questions. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to sit there and cry. It's just started, sorry, off the topic. It just started storming really bad. So if I
Oh
lose
no.
connection, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm looking out my window going, that's hail. Okay. But my parents, my kids, uh, my neighbors around there, everyone just kind of surrounded me and made sure I wasn't alone. And I was drinking every night at that point so I could go to sleep. Because when you spend so many years sleeping with someone next to you, then you have to lay down in that bed by yourself. It is it's a daunting thought to try and lay down and go to sleep and let your brain relax. So I was at that point, I was drinking every night to get myself to go to sleep so I could just stop thinking so I would rest. And one day I'm like, I can't keep doing that. I got kids. I have things. I have to work. I've got people relying on me. I can't just sit here and mull in my grief while the world's still going. Like, bills are still coming in. Kids still have to go to school. Like, I still have to be their mom. And I'm like, I need a goal and I need something to look forward to. And I need something that I'm going to be excited for. And that's kind of how I've lived the rest of my life. I always, whatever stage I'm in, I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm always going to give myself something to look forward to in the next stage. So that's when I decided to pick a show.
Well, that's amazing because I think it's extremely rare. I think that people are often just not equipped with the coping skills to get out of a dark place and really like it is I guess more comfortable to just continue to do the same even though you're hurting yourself, but to be able to pull yourself out and then not only that, but to have a goal like this and to be so successful at it and, tick off all these shows and now you're working your way towards hopefully the Olympia, that's really remarkable. I think that is such an incredible story. You deserve, so much praise and credit for your strength. So you're just amazing.
Well, I have to be honest. I really do think God planted that seed of desire to do a show early on because he knew I was going to need it as something to pull me out of that dark place. Like, his provision for me in that whole time was unreal. Like, that seed was planted for me to compete. I started researching competing after my late husband passed away and picked a show and I found a coach and I'm like, I'm going to do this. And through that, I met my husband and life has just been unreal. Like, I feel like I'm living someone else's life. And I'm like, really, this is what I get to do? Like, I get to stand on stage with, these top girls that I have been watching it's just unreal.
Yeah,
That
I
has to
love
be an
that.
incredible feeling though. Like watching them for so long and then standing on stage and getting through all that. Like your kids are watching you do that. Your kids are watching you pull yourself out of a dark place. Use something that is so healthy and so just goal oriented and focused. Like they get to watch mom do that. And they get to see how strong mom is. And it's like when they're older, well, when your 6-year old is older and see that you did like you kept doing that, it's going to be amazing when they look back on it, when he looks back on it.
Yeah, when he's old enough to be, my husband and I were just talking about this yesterday. We went for a walk around a lake near our house, and we were like, I wonder how he's going to view, you know, fitness and health, given that from the very beginning of his life, basically, that's what he's seen is us lifting weights and us prioritizing eating healthy foods. And we go out to eat, but we only do it every so often. It's not like a
Mhm.
daily or even a weekly thing that we would do. And then watching us do bodybuilding shows, will he be interested in Like, I am very interested to see where his little brain takes him with that.
I'm
Yeah, both
sure.
our
Yeah.
sons, Jillian and my son, it's Jillian, your son is way more into it. My son, he's not into bodybuilding. He's into weightlifting. He's more club soccer, but the food is so funny. We joke about it all the time because I travel all the time I expedite shows around here, so I'm always traveling and soccer we're always traveling and I always pack my food just as if I was in prep and I just, finished my last show back in June and we were out of town this weekend and I packed all my food and we were talking about that too. We're like, I wonder when he's like in his 20s and he sees like the discipline to like pack and bring and measure and cook and take all this stuff. I wonder what he's going to think. Like he to them it's normal right now, but when they actually can put together the effort and the discipline and the goal orientation behind it, I'm like, I wonder if he's going to think I'm crazy or if he's going to be like, my mom's amazing.
It's all they
Well,
know, I feel like,
I
if they grow up
know.
in it, it's like all they know.
and
Hmm.
and it's so funny that they see us doing that and they see us like year round. I mean, I'm the same way. My husband and I love my prep food.
Hmm.
Like, I love it. I will eat it year round, and I might switch it up like different seasonings, or I might have
Yeah.
shrimp instead of chicken, like, little things like that. But to the outside world, they're like, so when do you get to eat normal again? I'm like, this is
This
normal
is
eating. Like,
normal.
no, this,
It is.
this is
I know.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
just
I'm
is
get to eat more of it. It's what I
yeah.
want. More of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I just prepped my food last night and I said that too because my husband took a picture of it and he's like, it's so like much now. I was like, it's the same. It's just more rice or quinoa or it's just more of something, but same.
Yeah. And it tastes good. And then my tummy feels good. And you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to worry about like being bloated or uncomfortable or your
Mm-hmm.
body feeling lethargic, and you can think clearly. There's just so many things that people don't attribute to what they're eating. And I'm like, no, trust me, this is normal eating and it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
100%. I love that. So tell me a little bit about your first year competing because you kind of came out and had a very successful first season. So you hired a coach, and what was that first show experience like?
No, I was just super tickled. Like, I'd never seen my body look like that. Like, it's like you couldn't tell me anything. I just thought the world was mine. I'm like, how do I even look like this? How was I even able to do this? Because at that point I was still dealing with grief, which for me it manifested in anger. So I was angry, like angry. I was angry with him. I was angry with the situation. I was angry. So that also took my appetite a lot. And so I just wasn't interested in eating. So that first prep was probably the easiest prep I'll ever have in my entire life because I wasn't hungry. So I was just tickled to look how I did and get on to, I mean, I was super nervous about posing and not falling and, the typical things that you're nervous about. And like, hopefully I don't get last. I'm hoping I can get in the top 5. And I told my husband and I were dating at that point, and I'm like, I just want top 5. If I can just get top 5, I'll be super excited. And he's laughing at me. He's like, you have no idea what's getting ready to come, because from the beginning, he's looked at me as like, oh no, you don't know your potential. And he's like, I can see it. You're going to win. And I'm like, probably not. This is my first show. I'm probably going to, like, if I can get top 5, that'll be awesome. So the first show I did was, why can I not remember the name of it off the top of my head? It's because I'm talking to y'all. If we weren't talking, it would like just flow
It
right
just
out.
come out. Yeah.
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 Was
But
it
it
the
was
fit
in,
show? Nashville fit
no,
show?
it was in San Antonio Classic.
Okay.
I have a t-shirt. Um, so the way they ran that show, and because it was 2021 being directly after, that fun year, they had separated the men and the women. And so the men had gone in the morning and the women were in the evening. So we just did prejudging and finals, one right after the other, which I got really spoiled, that being my first show. And that's how we did it. So we did prejudging, and I had entered because I was over 35. I was a true novice. I did novice, I did open, and I did masters 35 plus. I was just, every time I stepped off stage, they're like, okay, we need you back on stage. Okay, we need you back on stage. And it was like that for prejudging and for finals. But they kept calling my name as the winner. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Because when I've been sitting backstage waiting for prejudging to start, I said to my husband, I'm like, there are so many amazing women back here. I am probably not going to place today. Like, I was just watching these gorgeous women practice their posing, touch up their makeup, looking at how amazing they looked and poised and graceful. And I'm like, I'm going to have fun, but I don't think I'm going to place. And so when they kept calling my name, I'm like, seriously? Are you sure? My number? So it was wild. And then after that show was over, I went down to Sandy, because Sandy judged that show. I went down and talked to her to get her feedback, and she asked me to go compete at Masters USA's. And to be honest, my first thought was, I don't want to keep prepping. I want to be done prepping. But if Sandy tells you to go do a national show, you go do it.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah. And then it was the next year that you turned pro, correct?
Yes,
22? Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
what were some things that you focused on between your amateur, your time as an amateur going into earning your pro card?
Just lifting and eating as much as I could. When I reversed out of my show, um, I did Masters USA's, and after I reversed out of that show, my body was like in a really good spot. I wasn't putting on a ton of body fat, and I was eating a lot of food. And I wish I could replicate that. I have not gotten that reverse back again. But that first reverse went like peachy. And so I was just eating as much as I could. And my coach even gave me 2 free days where I could just eat what I wanted for 2 days. And my body was still just like soaking it up. So, and I was lifting as much as I could. My husband, he's a competitive bodybuilder. So we would go to the gym together, and working out with him was always it's an awesome push to work out with someone who is supportive and wants you to get stronger, because he was just like, you got one more rep in you, you can do more weight. Like, he was super supportive with that. So just, doing the same boring stuff every day and just trying to do more of it.
Yeah,
It is really the same boring stuff.
it really is.
It's, if you're like, I love routine. If you change my routine, I'm usually like a little anxious and a little angry, like both of them together. If my routine gets messed up, like, I love routine. So it's just the lifestyle itself fits my personality really well. I like to be boring and do the same thing every day. And I like eating the same thing every day. And I like going the same places every day. So it fits really well into my personality. So, but just focusing on lifting, really focusing on glutes, because at my age, that's what really needs help. And so lots of glutes, lots of shoulders.
That was going to be a question that I had for you as well, because to me, I mean, you are right in the mix with the open pros as well. And so, as we get older, it's not only like what we are told about getting older, and then like just the facts, things are a little bit different. But I also think sometimes the mindset too of like just the acknowledgement of like, I'm not 25 anymore. So, like, have any of those things on your journey been like a struggle for you? Like, either like, things that you're trying to face that you need to grow, or just overcome some mindset things just about being, over 35.
The I would say the biggest thing that I struggle with as far as where I am in my age is, how long do I get to do this for? Like, I don't I'm not, I don't feel like I'm at the age where I can take a year off and it makes sense to grow. Um, and I know that would be super beneficial if I could take a full year off to just spend the year to grow. But if I do, I feel like I'm shortening my time frame in which I can be competitive. And so that is the biggest mental hurdle, is trying to balance, for me, how much do I compete and how much time do I take off to grow, and how do I mitigate that with how long I can actually be competitive. And that's, sometimes it hurts my feelings. No, I want to keep going.
I can sympathize with that too, because I've been doing this for so long and I want to do it forever. But I'm like, well, am I going to look like this in 6 years when I turn 50? That's really scary to even say out loud that I'll be 50 in 6 years. But I think about it all the time. Like, I know
Yeah.
girls that are just getting started. I'm like, oh, I'd give anything to have like just go back 10 years, not to be younger, but just to have more time in this, because I love it so much. But by the same token, I see girls that are, in their mid 50s, like still crushing it. They don't look it. They feel amazing. They're super youthful. And so, I think I have to go to that place of like, you can really do this for as long as you want to, just keep yourself
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah, there's a girl
Yeah.
that I compete with that we're just chit chatting, and she posts on Instagram every once in a while that her age, and she's 55. And every time
Yeah.
she posts that she's 55, I'm like, no, you're not. Oh,
Yeah.
wait,
I
yeah,
know who you're
she
talking
is.
about because I've thought the same thing. Is it Mary Abado? Is that who you're talking about?
No, no, and she's the exact same way.
Yeah.
I competed with her at Masters Worlds, and in person, like, we chit chatted. She looks like she's in her 30s.
Yeah.
And I'm
She
like,
does.
ma'am, can I have some of those genetics, please? Like, You know, she's gorgeous. But there's another girl, her name's Cindy, and we competed at two shows
Yes.
together last year. And
Yeah.
she's 50. I I think she's 55. I'm not going to call her out that that's exactly what it was, how what
Yeah.
her age is, but I'm pretty sure she said she's 55. And I, every time I see, like, you're not over 50, like you're my
Yeah.
age. What are you saying?
Yeah.
So
It is
you're
cool.
right. It's like I can't sit here and worry about, well, what if I don't get to compete when, or what if I'm not competitive when I'm 43? What if my, you know, what is my skin going to look like? Is my body going to respond? How are my joints going to feel? Like, I can't worry about that. I just enjoy the stage I'm in right now
Yeah.
and have things to look forward to in the next stage. So,
I think you've got like the most beautiful mindset. So I think that's like really going to
Yeah.
carry you through because, it is all in your mind, and listening to your body is really important too. You had mentioned that you're going to be in prep this year. Did you say for 8 months? Is it
yeah,
this
I
year?
started prep in January, and my last show, as we're planning right now, obviously things like that can change, but my last show as of right now is going to be the Nashville Fit Show, August 17th. So,
So what are some tips
long prep.
for staying healthy and, keeping a good balance while you're doing a very long prep and you're competing at a very high level too? So, what are some strategies that you have to, feel your best, as best as you can?
Well, like you said, listen to your body. Like if you need rest, sit down and rest. Like we all get so I do this. I'm very guilty of doing this, but I'm like I wear an Apple Watch, so I'm always looking at how many steps did I get enough steps? If I didn't get enough steps, I'm not going to be ready for my show. No, if I need to sit down and rest, go rest. If you need to take a nap, take a nap. If you need more water one day, drink more water one day. Like none of those things are going to set you back. They're only going to propel you forward and keep you feeling good. So listening to your body, communicating with your coach with how you're feeling. I have an amazing coach and she always gives me the best advice. Like I'm also going through menopause. So I'm dealing with that kind of fun stuff. Feel sorry for my husband right now. So like there's certain things that I struggle with. Like I don't sleep a whole lot and I don't sleep very well. So like finding different health supplements that kind of encourage falling asleep and relaxing and letting your body just and your mind just calm down. And she's helped me a ton with that too. So communicating with your coach. If you've got a good coach, they're going to either have recommendations or find recommendations for you to help you through what you're going through.
Yeah. No, that's helpful. And there's a lot of advice and a lot of great resources out there, but having somebody who can kind of steer you in the right direction, because it can definitely be too much. And being able to talk to you, because there are so many things that women might ignore because they just don't want to open up, or, they just push through, and that can really lead to issues for sure.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
the whole pushing through is it's a hard thing to balance because I was going to compete the rest of this year and I had to take a step back and listen to my body because I'm injured. And I have to remember that I'm injured and I have to remember that it's not a muscle soreness, it's an injury and I have to stop and I have to do it because I can't be as conditioned to be competitive. So I'm 35. I'm taking a year or two off to do whatever I need to for my spine. But it's whenever I coach other girls, it's like tell me how you're feeling, tell me how you're sleeping, talk, that way we can figure out like, do you need more rest? Do you need recovery? Don't push through it. Maybe you need that extra time because if you push through something, you might cause something that is going to set you way further back or hurt you to the point where maybe you can't go on stage and you never want that to happen. Definitely listen to your body.
Yeah. It's like having an injury and you sound very similar to me. Like when
Yeah.
after I had all of my kids, I didn't want to take the time off. I'm like, no, let's go for a walk. I need to move. I need to work out. I need to do something. Cause
Mm-hmm.
I don't like feeling like I'm sitting still
Mm-hmm.
and not working towards something and being active. So oh yeah, reminding yourself regularly that it's an injury, not just irritating.
Yeah, it took a long time. I injured myself back in 2022, and I got it better. I herniated a disc, and it was all better. And now, just prep is really hard on our bodies, And I went through prep for all the way September of last year till June of this year. And the conditioning, the training, I also travel, everything. I'm like, no, I have to put it away for
Yeah.
the rest of the year and go back to healing instead of like grinding through it. It's not
Uh,
healthy. So,
a herniated disc is nothing. Oh Lord, that's painful. That
yeah.
is probably one of the more painful injuries you can get.
Yeah. I have a heating pad right now on my spine. I have to laugh about it. There's, like you said, it's extremely painful, but there's nothing I can do about it except take care of it. So I have to laugh about it.
Yeah. Now, is that where you've got pain? Do you also have pain going down one of your legs from it?
Very
Yeah,
badly. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way down to my toes.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry. That is
yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah. It gets better and then it gets worse though. But I mean, it's still staying active, but listening. So like I'll still go to the gym. I
Yeah.
can't lift legs, but like I do like this morning, I do mobility exercises. I do, different types of things that like stretch out my spine. I'll still like move around the gym, walk. I still I do more cycling now, just pedal assist cycling, and so I'll do that instead of like really like doing stairmaster or anything. It's just substituting. You don't want to lose like the good habits and the routine. Like you, I'm very I like to be routine. I don't never want to lose that because it can be a slippery slope to fall back into something that's not healthy. And right now I'm very lucky to love the food I eat. It's not I eat very very anti-inflammatory foods. I rest really well, and you don't want to fall back into habits where, you're eating something that's going to be flaring things up or making things worse, or you put X amount of weight on because you're not going to the gym at all anymore, which is going to cause more pain on your spine that's already injured. So I kind of went through all this a couple years ago, so now I'm like, okay, I have to treat this very seriously.
Yeah, you're so smart with that, being making sure you're staying active because it would be so easy with an injury like that to be like, I can't move, it hurts. Anytime I do really anything, it hurts. Well, it's going to hurt worse if you
I
don't stay
was
active.
Yeah, I was like that in 2022 because I was scared. I was so scared. I've never had nerve pain before. And to be have that pain was so astronomically scary that I stayed in bed for days because I was just like, what do people do with this? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
learned.
my brother-in-law just had surgery for, he herniated a disc very badly. It was sticking out 2 inches out of his spine. Like he couldn't stand
Bulging.
up. So he had to have surgery. Yeah, it was so bad. So, and he still, last time my husband saw him, because he doesn't live locally, but last time my husband saw him, he was still like, he was active, but he still wasn't walking normally. And that had been a year and a half later.
I can't imagine it. Like
Yeah.
I go for another MRI here in a few weeks, so I'll know like exactly. But yeah, it's it's it is what it is.
Yeah.
We always like to
Things.
ask our guests too, because you've got a
Hmm.
lot on your plate, and we were kind of talking about how you have so many shows packed into a year. So, how do you juggle it all as a mom of four and a wife and a posing coach? I know you love
Yeah.
routines, so there's a lot of habits that our listeners probably want to pick your brain about and learn how to be successful.
Oh, well, I don't think I'm super successful at it at all. I'm just like, I feel like I'm juggling a lot of time. Um, my husband's amazing. So thinking you can handle everything without support, you're going to fail. Like we're built to have people around us and let the people that care about you know if you need help with something. So asking for help, and that is hard for me. I am the kind of person where I feel like I'm burdening people if I ask them to help me with things. So I'm having to teach myself to ask my husband for help because he wants to help me. As far as like juggling all the shows, I have to start planning way ahead of time. So when it comes time to actually execute what needs to be done for each show, like packing or getting my mother usually watches him for me and she lives about 4 hours away. So I'll chat with her ahead of time, and we'll set up a plan as to, how she's going to get him and then how long he's going to be with her. And then, um, getting our travel plans situated and who's going to be like, I have to do all of this way ahead of time. So when I'm actually getting close to the show where, you start getting anxious and stress rises, that's when you forget things. That's when things get left behind. That's when you're going to make the mistake. So I try and prepare myself so I don't have the opportunity to make that mistake when I'm stressed out.
That's smart. That's really good
It
advice.
is.
Because it is hard when you're getting close to the show and then you're low energy, and that's kind of when you're like, oh, I forgot the most important things. So getting a little ahead of the game, And I think asking for help is huge. A lot of us are not good at that, admitting like,
Well,
I need help. I can't do this alone.
I think when you're a mom, you're like, I just handle everything. That's just what I do. And you see everyone else is being busy doing their own thing. You're like, well, I'll just take care of everything. And we get so used to being in that mindset that we forget that the people who, even though they're busy, doesn't mean they can't help. Even if it's something small, you take a little thing off of my plate. You take one small thing off of my plate, and I feel like the world has opened up for me. And I don't know why. It can just be like running to the store to grab something that I forgot, like just something super small. Like, oh, the weight is lifted off my shoulders. Like it just helps so much. Even if it's just like a mental boost, like it helps so much.
And it's like you said, communicating and like letting them know, like you're not burdening the people that love you. Sometimes they just don't know. Like they don't know that you need something, or they don't know that they can help you with that. And like you said, the littlest thing, like, hey, can you just run to the store? Hey, do you mind on the way home grabbing this? Hey, can you like do this? And they're like, and to them, it's not even a big deal. They want to help us. They just don't know. And then when they do, it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about that or do anything about that. It's just so helpful. So helpful.
Yeah. Like I said, it can just be the smallest thing that is
Mhm.
not a big deal. And it isn't a big deal for them, but for me, it seemed like this, especially when you're like super deep in prep, it can seem like an overwhelming mountain to climb. And it's just walking to the store, like, I've got to go to the store. I've got to go, pick up a package. And I'm like, I don't have the energy to do that. My husband's great about like, I'll run, go do it. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, I just feel like he had bought me a dozen roses when he does
Yeah.
something like that. I'm like, that's awesome. Thanks.
I have something so funny to match you with that. So we have several different types of stairs throughout our house. And when I'm deep in prep, my husband, my like big cup, he will take and fill it up with tea. It's decaf tea all day. And even if he's downstairs and I'm upstairs, I'll be like, I'm out of tea. And he'll be like, I'm coming. And I'll be like, oh, I don't have to like walk
Oh,
up the stairs or down the stairs. But yeah, it's the littlest things. It means so much. Like I'll look at him and be like, "Oh, you just saved my life," even though it's tea. Like it's downstairs on the fridge. But it means a lot.
It's the little things.
it does. Stairs are overwhelming when you have no energy.
Yeah, or if you have to go to
Oh,
the
I know.
bathroom all the time. Like that's why I stay up in our room, because our room is big and we have like our master bathroom. And I'm like, it's just easy, like cuz the bathroom's right there and I can watch TV, read, do whatever, laptop. But like the kitchen's downstairs and I'm like, why?
So far away.
It's so
So far away.
it's especially like you said, you're deep in prep and you're like, I don't want to. I just don't. So it's those things. It's just cute, and it's helpful.
Yes,
That's a really
very.
good
It is so
segue.
helpful.
I am always looking for segues in these interviews. As
You're
I
good at
mentioned, there's no
segues.
training. I did not go to school for broadcast journalism, so I'm still new at this. My segue is because I want to talk to you about this specifically because you are a posing coach. And
Yeah, yeah.
what I love talking to posing coaches about posing because it is an art, and I feel like there's so many pieces to being good at it, and then taking it the next step and teaching. So
You are a posing coach for new competitors. Are you a posing coach for specifically new competitors? Because as an expediter, I find it so interesting, like being on stage, and I have so many true novice, so it's their first time on stage, and seeing like the different posing routines. Because some posing routines are like completely different. So can you touch on how it is an art form and how you do, teach new competitors how to pose?
So when I start with a new competitor posing, the first thing I want to nail with them is making sure that they can hit and understand, like not just execute, but also understand what the front pose is supposed to look like and why it's supposed to look like that, and what the back pose is supposed to look like and why. So I want them to feel it in their bodies, and then for me to explain to them what the judges are looking for. And so we are going to hold our hands here on our thighs, and this is why. We're standing up straight in the back pose and not bending forward, and this is why. And I spend a lot of time talking to them about, that for bikini, it's all about that hourglass shape, and every time you move, you're creating a picture. So I was a dancer for a long time. So every time you move, you're creating a picture for the judges, and you always want that picture to resemble an hourglass. That beautiful curve to your shoulders, which is why, bikini stays a little softer. So we do have a beautiful curve, but we're not sharp like the X-frame. So we've got the curve to the shoulder down to the small waist, and then a beautiful curve to the hip, and making sure they understand that it's soft so they're not flexing, because we're looking for a curve in an hourglass, and that they don't flatten themselves out. Because a lot of times when you get a new competitor, they just don't realize, because they've never done it before, that certain ways you turn your body are going to hide all your shape. And so I love explaining to them, showing their shape. Every personality is different. Some girls are super nervous and they're really stiff and they don't move a whole lot when they're learning how to pose. And then there's other girls who want to do like arms everywhere and all the
Yeah.
hair flips. And I'm like, let's add one thing later.
Hmm.
That's one thing later. So, but understanding the purpose of the how and the why of the front and the back pose, which is why I like working with newer competitors.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm sure it's like a good way to like share your experience and like be involved, because not everybody wants to coach, but being able to help with posing is a game changer for sure.
I love it so much. I love getting the opportunity to build up other women. So not only having someone else besides their coach telling them, you're doing good, you're doing great, you need to stop worrying about the other competition that's going to be there, show up for yourself, like having that other person in their ear to be encouraging to them. And not only that, but being able to give them confidence in their posing. So when they actually are getting on stage, they're not worried about how they look, because we've been working together and they know how they look and they know what they're supposed to be doing. So I love it so much.
So awesome. My
Yeah,
posing coach is the
I
same.
always try to
She's an
tell
angel.
new competitors that I meet, anytime I'm at a seminar, anywhere I am, like at gym, if they're new and if they're just like nervous, I'm like, go to a show, talk to other women. Our community is not what mainstream makes it out to be. Like, we're so supportive. Like, everybody is cheering you on. It's one of the best things to be backstage and be with like all those women that are
Yeah.
like, I will help you. Like, cheers to the rice cakes, like everybody is just so happy. And it's like, the person next to you might be going on stage and they might beat you, but that's not the mentality. It's, we did it. Like, we as a collective whole, as women backstage, like, are here and did it. And everybody's supporting everybody. And it's just like,
Yes.
I always try to tell like new competitors, I'm like, just go to a local show. Like, go to prejudging, go to finals, see what it's like, get that feeling, and like in that environment, and you can see like get those nerves off.
Yeah. And then you also have an idea of, like you said, we become like friends with each other,
Hmm.
and you can see it on stage. Like 90% of the time when someone wins, the other girls around them, they probably just met backstage and they're
Hmm.
hugging each other, and like they look like they've been best friends forever. I'm like, I love it's, that's why, honestly, that's why I keep competing. It's because the community.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
True. I think we can all say that, especially, those of us who've spent so many years doing it, and just even like that's how I met you. Like we connected through social media, and I've been able to follow your journey, and it's just been awesome today to talk to you and get your story and share that with our listeners. So tell everybody what you're working towards next and what your big eventual goals are for your career.
So I have three more shows left on my schedule so far this year. Really, my goal for the rest of this year, I would really like to get in the top 5 in an open show. And next year, they are doing, as far as I know, they are still doing the Masters Olympia in 2025. And I would like to apply, and I would hopefully be able to compete in the Masters Olympia. And at this moment, that is my goal.
Love it. I have
It's a
no
good
doubt
goal.
that you'll be up there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank
Oh,
you so
thank
much for
you.
joining us today. I loved learning more about you. And so tell everybody where they can find you if they'd like to connect with you or get some posing from you.
I'm on Instagram as April Conley _ IFBB Pro. I'm also on TikTok as that. And then Facebook, just April Conley, spelt like it sounds, Conley.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. And everybody listening, we'll have all her information in the show notes below. So if you want to schedule any posing or follow her journey and watch her qualify for one or both of the Olympias, check her out. Thanks, guys. Bye.